Matt, actually, if we could wait, because we're not really in a meeting here and we may be here for who knows how long.
Well, they're working on trying to get access back to the YouTube.
Oh, we got it back. We're good.
Oh, okay.
We got that
Just
fixed.
yeah, don't
Okay.
start it up, Matt, until the meeting starts.
I hit the button at one. Should I, is there a way to pause it?
I don't think so. Maybe in the the studio.
Okay, well, we'll sit and wait.
Sarah said she thought she was in the waiting room.
Oh,
Do you see anybody, Matt?
yeah, there's a few people. Here we go.
I can't see them since you're the host now.
Oh, there we go.
There they are.
Here they are.
There we go. Sorry, Spencer, hope you got my email. I was waiting in the waiting room. So
Oh, yeah. It
Sorry
looked like
about that.
there were only
No,
about
that's
7
okay.
or
I
8 of us.
apologize for starting late, everybody.
It's
But-
okay.
all right. Well, thank you guys for joining. We'll go ahead and kick off and get started. Welcome to the January meeting for UETN. We'll start off with the meeting minutes from our previous meeting. Those are attached in the agenda, so hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at those. That was from 9:30 of 25. So if we can get a motion to accept those meetings as presented, that'd be great.
Motion to accept.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Wonderful. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Are there any opposed? Wonderful. All right, we'll move along to our next agenda item, and that is the discussion. Let me see here. So let's see. This will be, oh, wonderful. Thank you. This will be a discussion about our upcoming agenda or our upcoming dates for meetings. So as we had some conversations, it looked as though there might be an opportunity for us to improve the time that we meet, just avoid some of the scheduling conflicts that might exist for myself as well as Jason and others. So you can see in the agenda there some proposed dates. That would be March 3rd from 2 to 4, and then May 5th from 2 to 4, January 7th, same time, September 8th, and November 3rd. And again, these were meant to kind of adjust the timing of our meetings a little bit to help them. We thought that might help with some of the conflicts we were seeing. But we want to put this to the group and see if there's any other issues or concerns folks might have with those dates. So if everyone can quickly check your calendars, that'd be great.
This one is just personal, but my wife and I we have our 30th anniversary potentially over the May 5th one.
Right,
So
we can all join.
worst
That'd be
case, I'll
fun.
prioritize. I'll check the minutes, and I will support
Looking
you
forward
from
to it,
wherever
Eric.
we may be.
Okay, fair enough. Congratulations. That'll be fantastic. Good reason to miss a board meeting, I suppose, Eric.
Worst case.
Worst case. Yeah.
I thought for a minute you were going to be inviting us.
Yeah. Where's the trip to?
I don't know yet. I
Better get
Paris,
on that.
Boston, Erda.
Okay, some viable options. Erda. All right. Well, barring 30th anniversaries, are there any other conflicts folks might see?
Well, typically for me, and this is just my district, but admin meetings and board meetings for my school district are on Tuesdays, that first and second Tuesday.
Okay. Are they typically in the afternoons in that time slot we have, or just?
They are typically in the mornings. The board meeting is in the afternoon, so anything on a second Tuesday, I won't be able to do an afternoon meeting.
Okay.
But
let's take a look. Are these all landing on first Tuesdays, I think?
They're mostly first Tuesdays from what
Okay. I'm just taking a look real fast. It looks like
I think September, then it starts to be second Tuesdays.
so that September 8th one might be a conflict for you then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one I think we were trying to avoid Labor Day, but we could even go into the 3rd if we needed to, or like.
Yeah. Would
I
the
guess it
3rd
wouldn't matter.
Tuesday
Yeah,
work?
I guess it wouldn't matter. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, third Tuesdays work out great, but
Okay.
how that works for everybody else.
So it looks like we have the first Tuesday for a few for that September one. Would it make sense to move that then? I'm trying to look, would that be the 15th, it looks like? Are there any
Christina,
concerns?
here's
Yeah.
the thought. Normally you have your board retreat in October, so I guess that September meeting you could determine when you want to have the board retreat, and maybe that could be the board
Just combine
retreat
them.
date. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What if we
Or, well,
pencil it? Oh, sorry, go
just to
ahead.
clarify, this last year, we did do it in November because the October and April months, what's precipitated this is the October and April months are perpetually challenging because that's when most breaks occur. And then
Mhm.
also getting away from 2 meetings in the summertime. So our suggestion was to shift a month. And so
Yeah.
we
What
could
if
still
we
do a
kept
November retreat.
yeah, yeah. What if we were to move the September to the 15th? That would be that third Tuesday. David, it seems like that would work for your schedule. And then that November 3rd, that may be one, kind of Spencer's point, perhaps that's when we look at combining that with the retreat instead. Thoughts on that? Sounds like everyone's in vehement approval. Okay, wonderful. So let's make that adjustment then. So we'll keep the March 3rd, the May 5th, July 7th, and then September 8th will be revised to be September 15th. And then November 3rd, we'll keep that for now, but with the idea that as we get closer, we could discuss the board retreat and when we want to have that, and if we want to just combine that meeting for the month with the retreat. All right, well, if there's no further discussion, can I get a motion to that effect for the dates I just mentioned?
I'll make a motion to adopt the board meeting schedule as proposed.
Wonderful. And is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Wonderful. All right, that passes. Thanks so much, guys. That means that our next meeting would be that March 3rd from 2 to 4. So awesome. Okay, let's move along. We're going to have a report now from ARPA Library Wi-Fi Project. And joining us is it Kelly?
Yeah, it's Kelly.
Okay, I apologize. I
No problem.
saw that and I was like, I think that's what it is, but I feel like wonderful. So Kelly will be helping represent, just give an update for the board on what's been going on with the ARPA Wi-Fi project.
Thank you, Chair Baum. I appreciate it. And I'm going to have Kara from the State Library chime in once I
Yes, thank you.
present my materials. So thank you so much for the time. So I'm Kelly Cole, and I'm the Director of Policy and Communications for UETN. And in my role and in my sort of previous role, I was working a lot on the ARPA projects for UETN. And one of those projects is our library Wi-Fi project. And we're very happy to report that that portion of our ARPA project has been completed. So we're very excited to be able to give the board an update on how it went and kind of some of the impact that that project has had throughout the state. So we were able to update Wi-Fi services in about 54 libraries across Utah. And I'm going to point out that Kira Hamilton in our office has been our main project lead on that program. And so I've been working very closely with Kira over the last probably 2 years on that project, which allowed libraries that were connected to our network to apply for funding to upgrade their Wi-Fi service. And that included replacing old equipment. It included being able to expand services beyond beyond the physical building on the same campus. So for example, if there was like a park adjacent to the library or the parking lot, just the immediate outside spaces of the libraries were eligible for this program. We have just completed a final survey to gauge the impact, and we're really grateful that the libraries gave us some pretty thorough responses, and they really were able to talk to us about all of the wonderful things that they've been doing. And we plan on using the information from those surveys to highlight various successes. And you'll see that through our communications team throughout, the next several months to the next year. And if you paid attention to our quarterly newsletter that came out in November, there was a highlight on the Parowan Library. And then there was also a quarterly newsletter that came out this morning that highlighted the Emery County Library System. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about the impact of those projects throughout the state. And when I was looking through the information that we received, I noticed that there were sort of three key areas in which this project was able to help our libraries. So the first key area is access to critical services. And so that would be things like patrons being able to apply for jobs, submit resumes, attend virtual interviews, attend telehealth appointments, access government services and online forums, even basic things about being able to access your email or other key critical services was a big reason why people would come into the library and use the Wi-Fi. The second general category based on the survey feedback was access beyond the building. So patrons can access Wi-Fi outside the building in many cases. Several libraries included access to parks and public spaces. There were some instances of library vans that provide Wi-Fi being able to tie into the network. Being able to use the services after hours in some cases, depending on if the library felt that the area was a secure location to be able to do that. And another example is just basic tourism, being able to have in key areas of the state, tourists stop by the library and use the connectivity. And then the third category that we saw responses in were just everyday learning and use. So that's activities like doing homework, doing research, maybe taking an online class, being able to stream educational videos and tutorials, or being able to use multiple devices that might not be able to be used in their home internet service. And then I think it's also important that this allowed people to access digital literacy information or tools like document creation software, email, and other just basic learning resources throughout the state. And a few examples that I'd like to give. So Grand County, for example, they noticed that it helped people have access to online services. And they were one of the libraries that reported that it was really critical in a tourism-based area and in an area where not all the residents have stable, reliable home internet. Another example of access to critical services was for the Confederated Tribes of the Goshu Reservation Library. So they said that the improved connection supports the education department operations and administrative services, helping the community access critical institutions and resources without disruption. One of the examples of access outside of the building, and there were several different libraries that reported that, but Tooele City Library now has spaces outside of the library where you can access the internet, and the library reported that Wi-Fi usage increased about 40% after that update. So I think that's a really significant thing that people are really using the space right adjacent to the library. And then for everyday learning and use, the library wanted to highlight theirs, the Provo City Library. If you spent a lot of time in Provo, you realize that library almost functions as a support library to Brigham Young University. There's a lot of students that are housed right next to that library. And so they have a lot of the community and the students coming in to the library, accessing educational content. And one interesting data point from the Provo City Library was that once they were able to update that Wi-Fi, they were also able to see what their usage was. And they were able to see that during a given month, they would get something like 200,000 sessions on their Wi-Fi service. And so it's being used. That's a beautiful old historic building. And it has like quite a faithful patronage coming into that library. And they were also able to update some equipment that had not been updated in a long time. And so we're really grateful for all of the libraries that participated with us and just the thought that they put into their projects. And I would say that, you know, when you look at how old some of the equipment was, it just says like how much those libraries are so careful with their budgets, and that this was really such an important upgrade for them to be able to, they've used, you know, what they've had for a very long time, and it was really great to see them be able to offer a higher level of service, both to individuals that have come in that might not have services, or individuals that maybe they do have service at home, but maybe it's not a quiet space, or maybe they need a location that they can have multiple people come in and take a class, um, or teach something, or, you know, all sorts of in-person activities, and being able to come to a space where multiple computers can be sitting there and they can work together on any kind of training or community event is really important. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kara, and she can talk about any of her insights as the state librarian.
Thanks, Kelly. You really covered so much of it. I will say that I'm going to echo what Kelly was saying about the libraries. Really, they stretch every ounce out of a penny in their budget, and this made a huge improvement that this may not have ever been an option to them. So enhancing what they already had. And specifically in rural areas, the library may have even a greater impact than the Provo City Library, for example. Although there are maybe less visits and less residents, it's even more critical for that resource to be well equipped with, you know, so many things that are dependent on the internet. I will say that the public libraries love working with UEN. Absolutely love it. It's such an invaluable resource, and it's a special organization and partner that we have in Utah. And at a national level, there's not really a comparable organization when I talk to other state librarians. So I just want to say thank you, and I hope that we can continue to be great partners and work together to serve all Utahns.
Thank you, and likewise.
Thank you both. That was a fantastic overview. Really appreciate that. And just thanks for all the work that's gone in behind that, right? Behind the update you just gave. And it's wonderful to see, you know, the funds, the ARPA funds translated into tangible benefits for people. Just personal for a moment. I'm the first generation college student in my family, and growing up, I lived and breathed at the library. It was something that was so critical to me and my upbringing. Really, we didn't have a lot. I had a single parent, single mother, and so for me, access through the public library was critical. And I just love being part of an organization that's helping us, you know, deliver that to communities. So thank you for your update and for all the work, you guys. Any comments or questions? Wonderful, just fantastic, you guys. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll move along with the agenda then. Oh, it looks like yeah, thank you for all the awesome work. We'll move along. Next, we'll get a report from our Executive Director, Spencer Jenkins. He'll present on what he's been doing to help us at the Utah State Legislature this year in terms of UETN priorities. Spencer.
Thank you, Christina. And we'll keep this pretty informal if that's okay. I'll just give a verbal update on some key issues. And of course, if there's questions or discussion or things you all want to share too, I think it might be a good time. I'm also aware, I think people have a pretty, most people on here probably have a bit of a time crunch going on today. So I won't take too much time, but there are a few things I wanted to update you on. There are a couple of cybersecurity bills that we're working on, HB 42 and SB 123. 42 sets up a reporting mechanism with the Utah Cyber Center. The bill right now, as it's written, has some very specific standards that we're concerned about, just because, as you all know, especially that work in the cyber area, those standards at the CISA level, those change at least annually, if not even more often sometimes. So we're trying to work with the sponsor who's been open to some edits to generalize those. The other thing we're trying to do is instead of the standards being set or approved by the Cyber Center, that it be USBE that do that as the governing group in K-12. And those of you, Superintendent Long, Superintendent Covington, Rick, obviously Deputy Superintendent Leah Voorhees, we've had some discussions about what we want to do there. We want to keep a clean bifurcation of what the Cyber Center does and the Cyber Commission in the executive branch, and of course what education does. We do want to have a good collaborative relationship with the Cybersecurity Commission, which we do. We work very closely with them. SB 123 actually formalizes that a little further. It puts a position on the Cyber Commission for UETN. That SB 123 also establishes a fund in both the general fund and the education fund for cybersecurity tools. The bill doesn't have this, but there's a request for appropriations that's out there by the sponsor, Senator Harper, that he's proposing, I want to say $4.5 million for the general fund for local governments, and then almost $7 million for K-12 education. I have no idea if those numbers will stick in this year's environment. I guess I would say it seems to signal that legislative leadership has some very specific interest in some investment in cybersecurity. I do think that will help UETN formalizing that relationship with the Cyber Center, and in turn in support to the LEAs, kind of intermediating between the center and the LEAs. We're working on a substitute on HB 42. That was the former bill, to hopefully pull those standards out and generalize the bill a little bit more. So that's cybersecurity. Any questions on cyber or anything you're hearing out there? Okay. A couple of other bills. HB 165, this is that critical infrastructure bill. I don't know where it will go. I've heard rumors that it may not go anywhere. It's a bill for us that might be problematic. It essentially prohibits public entities from buying from companies who are on the prohibited entities list with the federal government. The problem we have with this is there are some vendors we use who, of course, are even US-based vendors who may have subcomponents from some of those countries, because that may be the only place those parts come from. This impacts other industries. It impacts also transportation and other places, but it's one we're concerned about because it might change the way in which we have to work with, especially those that provide our circuits and switches. One other bill, HB 334, Educator Organization Amendments. This establishes a task force at the legislative level on, it looks like on a number of things, but it has a lot to do with professional development materials and resources. And Leah, you may have some information on this bill. Obviously, we're interested in it because of the amount of professional development we do. We don't certainly want to get in the middle of saying what is good and isn't for public ed, but for us, I guess we're more curious about the nature of that bill. But so if you, Leah, or anyone else have information on that, we would love to learn more about it. So a couple of other quick items. There is a potential bill on school-based behavioral health that would pilot this, which could be something, at least in the telehealth area for us. We've had a number of devices out there that we've supported that were originally CARES funding, and Sarah and her team have kind of refined that relationship in a number of districts. So we're watching that one closely. One other one is Wi-Fi and buses. For some of you, you already got the inquiry on that. This is hopefully not a huge bill. We did put out an inquiry out to the tech directors of the LEAs just to understand the landscape. And it is a little bit interesting. I don't know that we've ever exhaustively asked the question. You have anywhere from one district who has more than 20 buses that have Wi-Fi in them to another extremely rural district that has none, that would be interested in getting some funding for it. So there may be a bill that tries to set up some funding for Wi-Fi on buses. And admittedly, that's probably not as high priority compared to many other education efforts out there this session, but at least wanted to make you aware of it. Finally, just a couple notes on our budget. Like all of you in whatever arena you're reporting to in the legislature, we also are going through the 5% budget effort. We did offer some options to the legislature mainly in two areas. We had an appropriation we received a few years ago for our IVC system before we made the move to Zoom to bring multiple platforms into one usable interface. We don't need that full appropriation anymore, so we're basically saying you can take a part of that back. We also have a couple of vacancies from retirement last year, and then the Kaltura funding, we've been funding that Kaltura storage with CARES dollars. We did put some one-time dollars in it last year. We did at least let the legislature know that if they need to, that's an area where if they need to cut that. We don't know if that will be cut. Our analyst for our committee made some proposals that were more drastic than that, and we're hoping those don't hold. And so those are the conversations I'm having right now with some of our committee members. But just another couple things there. As just a reminder, our one and single top priority is the ongoing funding for the Zoom license. That's still on the table. We hope it holds. We'll keep you updated. And then just one other one that's come up in relation to these cybersecurity bills. I mentioned that those amounts, about almost $7 million for K-12. We'll watch that RFA. That, of course, as you know, is not a board priority. But if there is that opportunity on the table and it works and it would help K-12, we obviously want to make sure it implements well. But at the same time, acknowledging we don't want that to stand in the way of maybe other key priorities for both K-12 and higher education given the year. So we are trying to be a active supporting partner there, but we certainly aren't making it our sort of storm the castle effort for the session, if you will. So that's a quick rundown. Any questions, anything you're hearing, anyone want to share the corner of their legislative experience of what's going on or anything like that?
I'm looking for
Okay.
hands to see if anyone has anything raised or.
Sounds like we may need to leave it there. I think
Yeah.
we're all kind of knee deep in it right now.
Yeah,
With you, we're in good hands.
we are. We are. Well, Spencer, thank you for that update and just for representing us so well with the legislature. We appreciate your leadership and proactively engaging to help shape these
No,
bills
and
and
thank
budget
you. Some of you
requests.
have been some good eyes and ears, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's move along then to the next piece. We're moving a pretty good clip today. I know we have some time constraints for folks, so thanks for that. So the next piece here, first of all, just thank you for everyone who's able to join for the retreat we had in November. It was wonderful to see folks in person, and I think we had some good outcomes from that. So we're going to go over the goals and values as a board that we worked on in that meeting. And I believe, Kelly, you have some slides you're going to share as we go through some of this.
I do. Just
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, we had the November retreat. Thank you for all the feedback. All of that's been incorporated into what we're going to see here as we talk through this. And
Can you
so,
see that okay?
yeah, yep,
Okay.
we can see that.
Great.
Yep. Awesome. All right, so you can see here the mission statement. We're going to go through each of these through the slides, and then at the end, we'll do a motion to vote to adopt the mission statement and the values and goals we see here. So, but along the way, if anyone has thoughts or questions, let's go ahead and work through that and make it more of a discussion. So here's the mission statement. Give us a second so we can all read through that. So it's pretty succinct, the mission statement, but I think it really encapsulates who we are as UETN. Then obviously you can see the core values there, right? So trust, excellence, integrity, collaboration, accountability, and investment. Any comments or thoughts? I'd like I said, to have any discussion. Again, this is the outcome from the November retreat. We're a quiet bunch today. Okay. All right.
I
All
read
right.
these just real quick.
Yes, please.
As I read through these, I'm wondering if we need the word "we" in front of each one of these, or if we can just eliminate that and be
Eliminate the we, you're saying? So just
a little more
build and maintain. Mhm.
active voice if we can. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, any concerns with that change if we were to remove the we and just jump straight to the verb there in the sentences?
There could be a call to potentially keep it as it may have the effect of personalizing it to people rather than UEN as just an amorphous organization. But I could go either way.
Oh, just so it's less abstract. It grounds it more into we do these things. I could go either way on that too. Any other thoughts?
No, usually I think the we is often used in when I've seen them said at a corporate level just because of that community aspect to it. But I can understand the argument either way.
Okay. Anyone else have any want to weigh in? Okay. Yeah, do we want to take a vote on that if we keep the we or if we want to remove that from this? Again, we're going to vote on the whole thing at the end, but if we're going to make changes, it might be easier to make sure we know what we're voting on at the end. So, how many folks, well, let's just do this. Let me see. It's kind of hard with on Zoom, but how many folks would like to keep as it is with the we? Please say aye.
Maybe Kelly, you
Aye.
could pull down your screen so she could see everybody.
Yeah, we can just take a look. Maybe raise your digital hand too.
Better.
There we go. So all in favor of keeping the we in place.
Looks like
Okay.
we're keeping the we.
Looks like, yeah. All right. That's a great suggestion though. Thank you. I think the conversation is a good one to have. So I'm seeing more with keeping it. Is that what everyone else is seeing too? Trying to do this on Zoom, and we use Teams at UVU. We're the lone wolves with our Teams usage. So I apologize that I'm not a Zoom expert, but okay. All right, well, let's keep the we in place with the idea that that kind of grounds it maybe in more community. Let's jump back if you don't mind, Kelly, sharing your screen again would be great.
Is that okay?
Any other thoughts or changes folks would want to see here in either the mission statement or the core values? Okay. Let's move along then. I see hands up still. Is that for comments or is that from the voting? Okay. So here's the goals. You can see those. And I hate when people read a slide to me. So if everyone wants to take a second and go through that, I'll just read some of the high level pieces. Prioritize and communicate core services, cultivate stakeholder relationships and partnerships, optimize network infrastructure and security. And there's a number of bullets there. Develop UETN workforce and leadership capacity, ensure financial sustainability and stewardship, maximize cost efficiency and access through statewide purchasing, and drive innovation and effective technology adoption. So folks are going to take a look through that and see if that aligns with what you remember from our November retreat. If there's anything you'd like to see edited, revised, any omissions we may have.
In statewide purchasing, it's just statewide, not state purchasing, right?
Let me see.
Which bullet, Steve?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Maximize cost-efficient access through statewide purchasing.
Statewide purchasing. Yeah. Did I say state purchasing?
No, I'm just saying that means statewide, not state. So
yeah.
Yeah, a lowercase s, not capital state.
Okay.
Yeah.
The department.
Yeah, statewide purchasing. Yeah, thank you. Okay, any thoughts or feedback? Hopefully folks have had a chance to review that. Any other comments, thoughts, question? Again, in a moment here, we're going to move to adopt these. I want to make sure we give enough time for any discussion or conversation points.
So Spencer, we are going to take the lead in cybersecurity efforts for K through 12 then, right?
Yeah, and hopefully some of this looks familiar because a lot of this was pulled from those sticky notes in November. And there was a lot of direction, very specific and a lot of support in the direction for UETN to have a much more active and leading role comes to cybersecurity. Now, we're not looking to oversee or govern it. Those mechanisms are already in place, but we hope to do it in a way, just like with the network, that we provide a leading ability for schools to have cybersecurity protections and services.
I think there's a
Excellent.
certain amount of flexibility to define what security operations center means intentionally without binding too much detail or commitment. There's a lot of opportunity to limit or expand, I think, within that word.
Yeah. And I guess philosophically, this is how we're trying to approach a couple of these bills this year. UETN's kind of magic sauce, if you will, is being a service organization. None of what we do is a mandate to the LEAs or to higher education. It's a value add. And when it comes to cybersecurity, we're trying to maintain that. But there is this propensity through public policy to exact sort of governing language or regulation language. So we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments? Again, as a board, I want to make sure that, head in, hands out, right? Now's a great moment for us to make sure our head's in on what it is we're adopting and make sure we're all supportive and we can help paddle in the same direction. And then in a moment, we'll talk through how this is going to translate in some of the strategic goals. But any other comments or thoughts on the mission statement, the core values, and the goals?
You pull that up just once more.
Oh, I was clearing room for a vote, so let me pull it back up.
Scroll up just a bit.
To the values or back to the goals?
Back. Yeah, okay. So continue providing robust professional development for educators. Would that be what kind of professional development? Is it related to technology or just?
See.
And I'll chime in. It is primarily education related and tied to our mission. There are a couple of areas that we provide. For example, there's one we have for leadership that has been requested for us to carry for administrators, which we do. But we are trying to be within our mission, but also responsive to what people are asking for. We certainly don't want to get into duplicating what is already out there or doing things that are too far beyond our mission. So
yeah,
and I guess I would say we're open to refining that if it would help.
Well, the fact that it's under to drive innovation, effective technology adoption, assume that that's where you plan to do your development, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, good questions. Thank you. All right, are we ready for a vote then? Any last comments or questions? Okay. Do I have a motion for us to adopt the mission statement, core values, and goals as presented?
I move approval.
Wonderful. Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Wonderful. All right, that passes. So we'll adopt those as our mission statement, values, and goals. Thank you so much, everyone. And then UETN plans to incorporate this and align the goals for fiscal 27 in the May meeting. So we'll be seeing more information then. But Kelly, I understand you have some information about how we're going to revise the goals and how they're going to fit into the UETN strategic plan.
Yes, I just wanted to kind of go over our process a little bit and reorient us as to where we are in the process of our strategic planning. First of all, I want to thank Spencer and Lisa and Steve Hess for getting us kind of going on this path as a leadership team. And then thank you to the board members and everybody that attended the retreat from the advisory councils and all of the feedback that we've gotten. We have looked at how we want to structure going forward this process of our strategic planning. And we're referring back to the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget has been working with state agencies to do planning efforts over the last couple of years. And so this visual that I am showing you was actually taken from their strategic planning guide. And that's been kind of going forward, I think what we're going to mostly follow with probably a few tweaks. So now that we have our mission statement, we decided not to do a vision statement. We decided only to do a mission statement. So we have our mission statement in place. We have our values and our goals. And as we were going through this exercise internally, we had those goals vetted through our different departments to make sure that as they come back with objectives, that there's a home or a place for all of those as we internally work through our processes as an agency now. And so our next steps will be working on objectives, goals, strategies, performance measures that will tie into our budgeting process and our work plan. And that's maybe a little bit operational, but we were really grateful that the board has kind of helped us get to this point so that now we can work internally and operationalize these efforts and go through the rest of the process internally. So thank you everybody that has been involved. I know that many of you have probably gone through a similar process within your own organizations. And so your expertise has been really helpful for us. And we look forward to the next steps for our organization.
Wonderful. Thank you for all the hard work that's gone into this. It's fantastic and feels wonderful, right? To be getting aligned on all these different pieces. And thank you. All right. Any comments or questions for Kelly? If not, thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you, Kara, earlier. We appreciate that too. Our next report will be a report back from the Finance Committee from Kurt Lovelace.
I don't think Kurt is
Kurt
on.
Uh-oh, okay.
And I don't know, Andrew, if Lisa is out of town today, and so, or she's out of the office. So
Well, we can postpone that. There's a lot in flight right now anyway,
I
right?
can
In terms
provide
of the
a
legislature.
quick update if you would like of.
Yeah,
Sure,
it was a
that'd be
pretty
great.
brief meeting.
Mostly we spent our time on the FY27 budget, some of those things that Spencer touched base on during the legislative update. The other area that we focused on or I had an update on was our fund balance reserve. UETN roughly has like a $28.1 million fund balance reserve as of FY27 is what we're estimating, which is really a healthy fund reserve that helps, support our long-term financial stability and some of those critical operations that we have. A big part of that 28.1 million, roughly 13.5 million is set aside for the E-rate program. And you may recall our E-rate program is based on a reimbursement. So as we expense those network circuit funds, we then request that back through that E-rate program. We are seeing on average about 12 to 18 months before we see that reimbursement. So that 13.5 million really just helps with that funding gap for that cash flow to really just secure that funding to support the network. And then in addition to that, there's roughly about 11.7 million that we reserve for network equipment maintenance and software as well that we like to. The past couple of years, as you're aware, we've had CARES and ARPA funding that we've been fortunate that we've been able to rely on. And since that funding is ending this calendar year with ARPA funding, that's really going to shift that reliance back to these either fund balance reserves or new state appropriations for some of that equipment. And then just the last major component of that is the $2.5 million San Juan project. That is scheduled to be completed by this June. That's the project that extends that network out to that southeast region of the state. And so those are our fund balance reserves and the different areas where we're allocating that. And then just a few quick updates. Our FY25 financial audit is near complete. Our goal is to present that back to the Finance Committee and to this board at that March timeframe. And those were really the highlights of our committee.
Wonderful. Any questions for Andrew? If not, thank you. Thanks for filling in. We appreciate that. Fantastic update. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right. Well, that's all we have on the agenda there. I'll mention a few final things. You'll see in the agenda there's A marketing team video that's been developed that demonstrates the impact of Zoom at USU. So Eric, I don't know if you want to share anything more about that.
It's a brief overview by Kevin Reeves. Some of you may know him, longtime employee at Utah State University, working in innovative technologies in the distribution of education around the state. I'll just say Zoom is in a long line of just absolutely amazing technologies. I remember when we were beaming stuff to satellites up and down. I remember teaching where the return video was over a phone line and it would draw your image one line at a time across the screen. And as a fact of the matter, you had to be careful to look really photogenic for that 1 minute that it would hold you there. So much progress. It's so many great tools that are naturally enabling and increasing the reach of education, not just for Utah State University, but for the entire state.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you haven't yet, go check out that link. It should be there in the agenda for that YouTube video to go look at that. Thank you. There's also another video that's been developed, our UEN quarterly newsletter to target influential individuals who benefit from knowing about UEN's activities. So take a look at those
You should have
resources.
seen that in your email today. That's a new quarterly
Okay,
newsletter. A kind of
perfect.
high-level
Excellent.
update on this. So.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay, if not, our next meeting will be March 3rd. So thanks so much, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. In a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Leave the meeting. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. See you in
Thank
March.
Hey,
you.
thanks everybody. Good luck these coming weeks.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Christina. Very efficient. Thank you, Denise. Thanks, Matt. That's probably one of the quickest meetings we've had.
Oh, no problem at all.
Yeah, take care. Thanks, Denise.
You as well.